Hey you guys, welcome to the Eat, Sleep, Raid, Repeat guide to Shadow-Lord Iskar in the Hellfire Citadel. This is Gorgeous, and I'll be talking you through this encounter. So we had our raid stack on blue, and the boss was tanked on X, and I'm going to get more into the other markers later. So this boss has two phases. The first phase is a ground phase, where Iskar's on the ground doing his thing, and the second one is where he goes into an escape phase, and he flies up in the air, and you have to fight some ads. I'm going to talk about the mechanics that happen during the ground phase first. And during this particular attempt, I did record me explaining some of the mechanics to my raiders. So I'm actually going to use a lot of those audio clips. So this video is going to be a little different than before. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is a chakram that he throws. I keep saying she, but it's actually, I think, a guy. But, you know. She passes. So range is stacked on blue right here, this blue marker. Melee, we're going to be tanking the boss where I am right now. Pretty much around this area. What happens is she throws a chakram, this big disc at people. It goes range, melee, then tank. If you get chosen with the chakram as range, you have to run to orange. And you wait for it to hit you. As a melee, you run to silver, and the tanks run to green. So it goes bing, 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 and back to the boss. That way it doesn't hurt anybody in the raid. Alright, next mechanic I'm going to explain. I'm explaining an add-on to my raid that you will need to download. It's called Iskar Assist, and you can see it on my UI. You see my voodoo frames like on all my videos, and then you see this extra little health bar box, and that's the Iskar Assist. And I'm going to play the audio clip of me explaining this to my raid again. What happens is there's this thing right here called the Eye of Anzu, and one person holds it. He's going to put everybody in tornadoes, and you have to pass the Eye of Anzu around to break people out of the tornadoes. This add-on allows you to pass it more efficiently. People with tornadoes around their name will have little blue swirlies, and your job is that you need to click and pass it as fast as possible so you can continue DPSing. So I want you to pay attention to my add-on. This is how you use it. She sends out her phantasmic winds, and you just click and pass the Eye of Anzu to the people that have the blue swirlies, and you have your raiders just click, 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 and then back to you, and that breaks people out as fast as you can. So next thing I'm going to explain is called Fell Incineration. This is a big fire beam that comes down, and the way I taught my raiders is I taught them to think about where they're going to run. And I used visuals, so again I'm going to show the audio clip because I think it's important to use those visuals. So here it goes. The other thing you need to worry about is you can get chosen with Fell Incineration. It is a beam that comes from the sky and it trails fire as it chases you. Basically you do not want to have it go through the raid, such as, it's kind of tricky if you
gotta kind of run towards it and then lead it away.
Yeah, but not everybody.
If you start running away, it's going to drag it through.
But the thing is that it lands and then it doesn't choose somebody. So if everybody runs towards it, everybody's going to get hit with it. It's basically like if we're all stacked on blue, and the reason I'm explaining this is for Kaz mainly. If we're all stacked on blue, and let's say it landed where red is, right? And I don't know who it's going to choose. The second it chooses me, I want to kind of start inching closer to it and then run this way. I don't want to freak out and run the wrong way. Now, sometimes it can be really a big dick, and it can just, start there. Well, if it starts there, you got to think about which way you're going to run. You can run that way, exactly, or you can even run up in here in this way, if that way's full. You know what I mean? And it can get pretty retarded and be stupid. And the reason I don't like this mechanic is because it lands, it starts to move, and then it chooses somebody. As you can see, it's hard to tell which way it's going. I wish that it would land and then immediately choose somebody, but I think that Blizzard's doing that on purpose. So it is kind of, sometimes it's not the smartest mechanic because it will just start to go towards somebody and then tell you who it chose. So it does have that little hesitation. You basically want to trail this away from the raid. Even when you're stacked in the middle on purple, when he goes into his escape phase, this Fell Incineration does come out there. You can see it chose me, and I had to run and cut off everybody from orange, but, we just adjust, and as long as everybody's not standing in fire, you're fine. I'm going to talk about the Eye of Anzu. Person holding the Eye of Anzu is going to start getting this debuff, and it stacks, and you usually want to pass it about when you get 6 to 8 stacks. So I would not hold the Eye of Anzu while we were in the ground phase, and then my healer would pass it to me during the escape phase. This is the first escape phase, transitions at 70%. You want to kill a Talon Priest first. What the Talon Priest is going to do is put bombs on people, and the person holding the Eye of Anzu needs to dispel them, or that happens where it explodes and everybody takes raid-wide damage. We were able to recover and kill it because I wasn't paying attention, but any healer can dispel this. The first escape phase is pretty easy. There's still Felon's Generations going out. There's this big focus beam that goes down, and you want to throw down your raid-wide cooldowns and not stand in fire. Eventually, after a certain amount of time, Iskar comes back down, and you want to run back to your blue marker or your X where you're going to be tanking the boss. The next escape phase happens at 40%. As the person who's in charge of the Eye of Anzu, I want to make sure going into this I have absolutely no stacks. The person passes the Eye of Anzu to me. I have the job of I have to interrupt a new ad, the Warden, and I still have to dispel those bombs that the Talon Priest is casting. So this is kind of a difficult thing to get used to. Once you get used to it, it's pretty easy. The thing that was a challenge is you want to watch your stacks, because if they get too high, you're going to die. So what I would do is I would, dispel, interrupt, and then I would pass it to one of my healers, and then when I needed to interrupt again, I would say pass it back, and they would pass it back to me. That way my stacks were always kind of low. After a certain amount of time, the boss comes back down, and you go back to blue and do the ground phase again. At 20%, the last and final phase happens. She goes up in the air. There are now 3 ads that come out: the Priest, the Warden, and a new ad, the Fell Raven. You want to absolutely kill the Fell Raven first. We lust at this part because we want to just blow it out of the water. A lot of guys are saying killing the Priest first, but we want to simplify this and just get the Raven out of here. So as the person holding the Eye of Anzu, I need to dispel the Priest still, the bombs off everybody, and then I need to interrupt the Warden, and then I need to pass it to the tank that is tanking the Fell Raven, because he needs to clear himself of a dispel. Then once the Raven's dead, he passes it back to me, and then I can dispel the bombs and interrupt the Warden again. This one little clutch move makes it so simple, because a lot of guys are saying just every time he gets this debuff, pass it back to the tank. If you do it this way and focus the Raven first, you only need to do this one time, so it was much easier. You just need to coordinate with your tank and just do this little clutch move one time. Once all the ads are done, you just kill the boss. There's only like 20% left. You just pass the Eye of Anzu between 2 people to make sure their stacks don't get too high, and just don't stand in fire. Thank you so much for watching this guide. This is gorgeous, and I hope you have fun with the fight.